I'm Hayley and welcome to the Chronic Minimalist. This channel has been designed in order to help people who, like myself, suffer with chronic pain and mental health issues. This video will be about my journey and how I've come from the first sign of my symptoms to this point. I'm currently still undiagnosed, but I'm just going to kind of give you a insight into my own journey and my feelings about it, and hopefully some of you can relate to it, and I thought it would be a good introductory video to my channel. I've been suffering with gynae issues for about 4 years now, and the main issues that I've been experiencing, the chronic pain issues, flared up about 1.5 years ago now. So let's rewind back to May 2015. In May 2015 I was working a full-time job as a secretary in the NHS, and I was also studying part-time a psychology degree. During the month of May I was also helping my friend with her last minute wedding preparations and was kind of running around helping her on the day as well. The wedding was great, I had a really good time, we had a good laugh and a good drink, and everything seemed fine. I was going through quite a good mental health period at this time, and for someone that has suffered with depression and anxiety throughout their life, that's obviously a very good thing. So it was about 2 weeks after the wedding that I woke up one morning and I physically could not move and physically couldn't get out of bed. Now I'm not going to pretend like this is the first time that I haven't been able to get out of bed in my life, because as someone, as I say, that has suffered with anxiety and depression, I have had days when I have been unable to get out of bed. But for someone who has dealt with these issues, it was very clear to me from the get-go that this was a very different issue and this is a very different problem. The feelings you get when you're experiencing depression, of that kind of hand on your chest pushing you back, was not the feeling that I had. I had searing pain in my lower back and in my pelvic area. My hips were very, very tight. I couldn't move my legs around properly. Now, for someone who has been having gynae and kind of bladder issues for about 4 years or more, to ease some issues that I've got in that area, this kind of flare is really not going to help me. So I woke up that morning in May 2015 and I couldn't move around properly. There's two different things that I've compared it to. One, I compared it to walking on slinkies. Now, there may be some younger people watching this, but anyone who was around in the 90s knows that a slinky was a coiled spring that was a toy that you would kind of play around with on the stairs, or, you know, on different surfaces that would kind of come down the stairs, and it would just kind of roll over and things like that. It was a very springy and very soft. Obviously, that's not something that's great as a leg substitute. So if you can imagine for a moment that you're trying to move around, trying to walk to and from the bathroom, or just trying to walk around in general, and your legs are just like those slinkies, just like a coil, just bouncing like this. The second thing I compared it to was that it was as if I was walking on dwarfed legs. So it felt from, I was having all this pain, searing pain across my lower back and around my hips, but from my hips to just below my knees, it didn't feel like there was anything there, and it was as if I was walking from my knees down. It just, there was no feeling in this part of my leg. It was as if I was walking from my knees down. And so obviously I was walking around like I shat myself, which is obviously not the look that I really wanted to go for, and luckily it's something that I haven't experienced at this point. But as people with chronic pain know, kind of problems with those kind of areas and getting to and from the bathroom and things like that are problems in that area in general. Extra pain on top of that, or extra mobility issues, just inflames the problem even more and just adds even more stress and anxiety to the situation that you just really don't want to deal with. And it can just be very disheartening and very upsetting. So as I said, I had this flare back in May 2015, and then over a period of a few months, my boyfriend paid for me to go to physio and to go to counselling to help with both the physical and the psychological aspects of the problem. I'd been under the hospital for a long time, but I really hadn't been making very much progress. So it was good for me that I had my boyfriend there to be supportive and pay for this stuff for me to kind of help ease and alleviate a bit of the pain. It did actually do me some good. I had the physio for a couple of months and it did actually do me some good. And then I also, as I said, went to the counselling. I'm still going to the counselling as an ongoing thing to manage my mental health. I was going to it once a week before, and I now go to it once every 2 weeks. So that's still something that I wanted ongoing to kind of manage my mental health, and I think it will probably be ongoing for the foreseeable future. As much as it's not something that I feel has triggered my problem, it is definitely something that has added a layer to the problem, because it's obviously something that causes anxiety, and when you are someone that is more prone to being anxious, it can be even more of a stressful situation. So in October 2015 I left work because I had been on sick leave for this period of time, and I just didn't really know where I was. I was still in a lot of pain, even though it was starting to alleviate slightly. I was still in a lot of pain. I physically couldn't do the same amount of stuff that I was doing before, and I just thought, for my own well-being and my own self-care, that it was best to leave that job, which was obviously very disheartening and sad at the time, and it kind of triggered a thing in me of what am I going to do, you know, where am I going, what am I doing with my life, especially as someone who is not very far from 30, although I may not look it. I am 29 and I'll be 30 at the start of next year, and it's obviously, it feels like it's kind of put me a bit far back in life progress, but luckily through counselling and things like that, and I've actually found through supportive YouTube channels, like I hope that this one will be to other people, that I've come more to terms with it and not let that be as much of a factor, trying to kind of, you know, keep up with the Joneses, keep up with other people, and worry about my age and where I am in my life, in my living situation, in my health. I just need to focus on getting better and doing the best that I can at this period of time. So I left my job in October 2015. During the period of sickness from when it started up until this point, I'd had a lot of bad sleep. I was, at the start of it, I was going through a particularly bad period of it, and I was really, really miserable. It made me really depressed, it made me really tearful, really emotional, pretty fragile. I would just felt like shit really during that period of time, and it was hard because it's always been a very intimate issue, and it's been something that's been going on in that area. It's not really something I wanted to bring up. I didn't really want to discuss my health problems anyway, but when they're kind of more of an intimate thing, you don't want to discuss them at all. Obviously I'm discussing them for this video, but this is to use as a help and an aid to other people, to show that there are other people dealing with these problems. You're not the only person, you're not the only person of this age dealing with this problem, that there are people like myself and other people out here who I'm sure are dealing with similar problems. And so I was going through a miserable time. I wasn't sleeping, I was really unhappy, really depressed, and I was very lucky that I had my boyfriend, who has been really, really supportive throughout this. He has been amazing. He has been there for me. He has not tried to push me to go back to work even when I was feeling better. He's not tried to force me to go back to work or try and take on more than I know I can handle. He has been very, very understanding. He actually, as soon as I initially had the flare up, he actually bought me a hip support pillow, which is this hip support pillow right here. He bought that pretty much as soon as I had the flare and I wasn't sleeping properly, and he could see I was miserable, so off his own back he went and bought me this hip support pillow. This hip support pillow I use all the time. I refer to him as Steve. He's actually my second boyfriend. He's become a very important part of my life. I sleep with him almost every night, and I'm very, very happy with him. He's getting a bit worn. He's a bit, you know, a bit bendy now. A bit of his stuffing seems to have started to disappear. He's a bit bobbly, but like I say, he's been very supportive and very there for me during this process. And sleeping with Steve has made it really, really easy to sleep. Well, not easy to sleep. It's made it easier for me to sleep. It made me have some more comfort, whether I'm laying in bed, whether I'm sleeping, whether I'm sitting on the sofa. Having this hip support does provide me a level of comfort which has aided me to sleep better. So I definitely recommend you getting a hip support pillow. I think my boyfriend bought this one from Groupon when they had a deal on around the time, but I'm sure that you can get these from pretty much anywhere. It's probably very likely that you can get them from somewhere that does kind of stuff for maternity, because I'm pretty sure that it's probably a maternity pillow and for people that are going through pregnancy. So that's Steve. I'll put him out of the shop for now, but he's been very good during this period of time, as well as my boyfriend and Steve. My boyfriend's called Danny, in case you're wondering. And Steve, my hip support pillow. My mum has also been very supportive. She has had me stay at her house for nights at a time, for weeks at a time. She's helped me out with, looking after me, and she's kind of given me a bit of a change of scenery when I have been just staring at four walls. She's kind of been like, come here for a week, just for me to have a bit of a change of scenery and a bit of company, because obviously when I'm here I'm home alone, my boyfriend's working, and there's just not very much to do. And once you've exhausted all the series on Netflix and you're up to date with all your YouTube videos, there's not very much for you to do. So it is nice to have a bit of a social aspect at some points. Also, my very good, I'd probably say, one of my bestest, if not my bestest, friend has been very, very supportive. She has taken me to all of my hospital appointments. She has had me stay at her house for nights at a time. She has looked after me. She's been very emotionally supportive, kind of talking things out with me. She has checked in on me a lot. We've kind of texted each other back and forth. She's actually someone who suffers with fibromyalgia, and she, has her own problems. She takes a lot of painkillers. She has a lot of pain problems. She has a lot of problems with sleep. So it is kind of nice in that way that we can kind of relate to each other, because we check in on each other all the time. When one of us is feeling a bit better and the other one's feeling a bit shitter, we try and help the other one out, and we just try and generally be there for each other, to be a support, whether it's physical or emotional, and just help each other out as much as possible, really, and be good friends to each other. And I have another good friend who is another one of my best friends, who has also been supportive during this period of time, as have my sisters and my dad, my stepmum, etc., and all the rest of my family, my auntie, my nan, my stepbrother. They've all been very supportive during this period of time, but I feel that they maybe haven't been in the loop as much. Obviously, as I say, it's something that you don't really want to always be having these big discussions about, especially when it's intimate. You don't really want to be going into too many details, especially when you're undiagnosed, you're not really making any progress. At the start of the period of time, it was kind of getting implied that it was in my head and that I just needed to relax and things like that. But thankfully now I've started to make some progress. I went for an investigation a couple of weeks ago, and where I was attached to a computer where they were testing contractions on my bladder, and they've told me that my bladder is overactive, that it's holding on to too much fluid, and that could be causing a lot of my problems, and that could be a sign of a bigger condition. So at least that's a nice step in the right direction. I've also now been referred to physio at the hospital, which I've been there last Friday, and they've given me a lot of tips on how to start managing the pain of apparatus and things to buy to kind of help alleviate the pain of the strain in that area. And so hopefully we'll start making some progress with that. I'm due to go back there in a couple of weeks, and I'm also due to go through another follow-up appointment at the hospital, just generally for all the gynae things that have been going on, in a couple of weeks as well. So that's where I am at the moment. As I say, it's been a very stressful time. It's been pretty shitty. Well, it's been really shitty, if we're honest. It's been a very stressful period of time. There's been periods where I really haven't slept. I've been in tons of pain. I've been miserable. I've been depressed. I've been crying myself to sleep. I've just been miserable. But thankfully, it seems like I'm starting to make a bit of progress, which is great. I'm still undiagnosed, and it has been a long period of time. As I say, these problems realistically started about 4 years ago and have got really bad over the last couple of years. But as much as it's frustrating that it's taken so long, to get any progress, I'm glad that I'm finally getting somewhere with it, and that we hopefully can start making some progress. I'm currently on painkillers, which probably aren't the ideal painkillers, but as I'm undiagnosed and going through this process, I think that they're just doing the best that they can and giving me the best that they can at this point, or at least my GP is. My GP is also someone who's been really, really supportive. He's the sweetest, nicest, most amazing doctor I've ever had in my life. Plus it helps that he's very handsome as well. Everyone in the neighbourhood loves him, and he can be very booked up quite a lot because everyone wants to see my doctor. So he's a lovely person. He's been very supportive. He's definitely been helping me manage my progress and helping refer me forward and trying to do the best thing that I can do to help to move forward, and he has definitely been helping me out. At the moment I'm currently on the Proxim tablets, which I don't really feel are doing very much. They are helping alleviate some of the hip pain and helping me to move around a bit better, but that's mainly with the codeine that I have been given on top of these, which I feel is alleviating the hip pain. I don't feel like they are really touching the back pain or the cramping in the bladder and the bowel, but you know, they are giving me some level of pain alleviation. I don't actually have the codeine to hand right now, so just showing you these ones. But like I say, I probably could do with something stronger or something more specialised, but this is the best that I can do right now, and this is the most I can get out of the doctors right now. With the investigation that I went for the other day, they've told me to cut out caffeine, alcohol and citrus, and they have told me that to see how that goes for a month, and then that they will prescribe me some tablets to deal with the lining of the bladder and hopefully kind of provide me some relief in that area, or at least see if that works. I've been told that those kind of tablets need to be taken for 6 months to a year, or can end up being taken for the rest of your life. So that's another thing that we'll play by ear and see what happens with that. When I went to my last appointment with my doctor, when I got more painkillers, I actually said to him that I'd been for this appointment and I believed that the issues that I was having with the bladder I'm also having similar problems with the bowel. He said to me that I should wait on the phone call from the hospital, from the women's health department, for them to tell me, for me to discuss with them how things are going, for them to prescribe me these tablets for about a month, and then for me to start taking these for a month. These are called Mebeverin tablets, and they're meant to be focused on the bowel. I don't know exactly what they do, but they're meant to kind of alleviate some of the contractions or some of the issues that I've been having in that area. They obviously, I don't know how they're going to work, so I have to take the other tablets that I'm waiting on being prescribed, so they should probably be prescribed in a couple of weeks, taking them for a month, and then trying out taking these for a month. And then my doctor has told me to go to see him to kind of give him an update on the progress, what's worked, what hasn't, and then so we can kind of try and cut the list down, cut some things out, and then address all the other ongoing problems and see if we can find a bit of a focus for it, a bit more of a direction to go in, see what is helping and what is not helping. So as much as I'm frustrated that it's taken 4 years to get to this point, progress is progress, and I'm glad that I'm finally getting somewhere with it. As I said at the start of the video, I hope this channel will be a support and an inspiration to people suffering with chronic pain issues and mental health problems. I definitely don't claim to be the authority on these kind of issues, and I obviously realise that there's people that suffer with these issues a lot more severely than I do and have been suffering with them for a lot more long term than I have. So I don't by any means feel that I am the authority on this subject. This is just my own views and me showing you my journey on how I've got to this point, and that I hope this channel will give kind of insight to maybe people that don't understand chronic illness, don't understand chronic pain. So even if you are someone who's suffered with chronic pain long term, whether you're someone like me who's undiagnosed, or even if you are a parent or a friend or a sibling of someone who is suffering with chronic pain and you just want to have more information on the subject to be able to help them out or be more supportive to them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I hope that I haven't rambled on for too long and that you got something beneficial from it. I hope that this channel will be very helpful to you, and that if you have any specific topics that you want me to cover, any specific questions you want to ask me for me to address, then please write them in the comments below and I will keep an eye on them and hopefully help make more videos. Then I can make more videos which are specified to the content that you enjoy, but obviously I have a list of things in my mind of videos that I'm planning to do over the next few weeks and months. So if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like below, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Bye guys!